What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Daniel's Sports Ledger, where I give out sports betting tips and picks for those who want to earn more money sports betting. And today is going to be our NBA preview show. I try to do this every year with Kimball Jones. So let's go ahead and bring Kimball in now. Kimball, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Daniel. How you doing, man?
Go ahead. Hey, thank you. Thanks for coming on. Go ahead and give them a little rundown of who you are and
So I'm just a sports fan, guys. I'm an attorney in Las Vegas. I do trials, kind of all types of different trials, and so that's really what I do. I represent people, and so but for the purposes of today, I'm a sports fan, and I do my best to pick some of these with Daniel, and we'll see whose picks are better in the long run.
That's right. So a lot of you guys already know Kimball. A lot of you guys have seen this stuff. What we're going to do is we're just going to talk about the NBA. We're going to go over some of the odds here in the NBA and preview the NBA. As you guys know, how do you say his name? Coupe or whatever. He just got that huge max $245 million for 5 years, staying with Milwaukee. So that's pretty interesting. What do you think about Milwaukee here in the next 5 years?
It's interesting. I mean, I think they're going to be a lot of what they were before. The team basically lives and dies by Giannis, what he's able to do. I will tell you, they traded a lot to be able to bring in, for the trade, the New Orleans point guard anyway. Not sure how I'm not Drew Holiday. So
Right.
Bring Holiday. I mean, they traded away a boatload, in my opinion, more than Holiday was worth. I think that actually that trade, certainly in the long run, makes the Pelicans better and the Bucks worse. But maybe the difference between Bledsoe, an upgrade from Bledsoe to Holiday, is what the Bucks need to take to the next level. Tough to say right now, but I suspect that the Bucks are going to be one of the top teams in the NBA in terms of records once again this year, just as they have been the last couple of years. And do they have what it takes to push them over the edge? Is Holiday the answer? I suspect not. I still feel like I feel like given how dominant the Lakers looked, that I don't think they're at that level. Are they good enough to get into the finals this time rather than get beat out during the playoffs? Maybe, probably. I don't see anybody else in the East that stands out and screams that they're obviously better. But I do think Miami is going to be a tough team for them to beat, and I think the Celtics are also going to be certainly a challenge.
Yeah, well, one thing they've been saying on ESPN and some of the other programs is just that this shows a lot of, for Milwaukee to do this, and so there may be free agents here in the future that want to go to Milwaukee now that they have paid this kind of money for him, but
No,
I'm going to say no.
Listen, so I often was a fan of the Utah Jazz, right? When the Jazz were great, they were not a free agency destination. And I will tell you, having been up in the cold north of Wisconsin, they're not getting any free agents. Up there in January, February, nobody's coming back. So I will a quick little vignette. When I was getting finished with school, I had this very good job offer up in Madison, Wisconsin, which is just a little bit south of Milwaukee. And bizarrely, they scheduled me to go up there in February for an interview. So they flew me up, put me in a really nice hotel. I go up there. I have an interview. The company looks nice, but my gosh, I got back home and I said, I'm not going there.
Yeah, I've been to Wisconsin too. I went to Green Bay for a football game, but it actually was like the first game of the year. We had the Jets flew over and everything. It was pretty cool, but actually it was pretty warm that day, so I got lucky. But yeah, I can't imagine the wintertime. I've been in some cold winters, so I can imagine. But let's talk about some. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about some NBA win totals. And this first one, I want to just give a shout out to Elite Heat Picks. He wanted me to give you guys one of his plays. So, you can find Elite Heat Picks on Instagram. And he said that the Atlanta Hawks will win more than the 36.5 games I have here. So there you go. That's from Elite Heat Picks. And he's a good guy, so I just want to give him a shout out. Kimball, though, and we're going to do this in alphabetical order. Atlanta Hawks, they are the first in that order. 36.5 wins. Do you think they'll go over that or under that? They got my guy Morant at point guard, so
I'm going against him, man. I'm saying under. I will tell you, I look at that Atlanta team and I see an enormous amount of talent, and I don't think they have a person on that team that can defend. So I think they're going to put up a lot of points. They're going to win some games, but it's a 72 game season. That's right? 72 games. And so 36 puts it right on the halfway mark, or 36.5 does. I'm going to say 36. I'm going to say less than the 36.5. I don't see anybody that's going to defend anybody. And that goes from the perimeter to the point to down low. They don't have a defender on that team to speak of.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you think it could be right there. So I mean, the over could hit.
Yeah, it would be fine if they hit it, but I would lean low.
Yeah. I don't know. You said they're kind of a sneaky pick, and I don't know. I might agree with them. I don't know if that's the game. I mean, here's the thing I always say when it comes to over-unders and stuff like that. It's like, why are you betting on a bad franchise? Like, why are you betting on a bad team, right? What like, I would rather say a good team's gonna win more, even if the total is really high, than to say, oh, a bad team's can be kind of sneaky this year. They're gonna win a few more games. I don't know. That's just me personally. I don't know why you're doing that with a bad organization, but I'm not saying it's a bad play. I mean, if I had to go one way, I would actually probably go with the League Heat on that one. I'd probably actually take the over, but again, it's a bad team. Why are you doing it? You know what I mean? The next one is the Boston Celtics, 45.5 over. You think they'll win 145? I don't know.
It's a tough one. I mean, I will say over, but you have to think that in a regular season, that's putting them into like 52, 53 win territory. In the weaker East, I think that is very possible. Very possible. I mean, again, I think that it's probably a pretty close pick. You can pretty much guarantee they're not going to be off that by more than about 3 or 4 games either way. So it's not, but I would say over. I'd lean over.
Over on the Celtics?
Yeah, they have young skilled guys that are still developing. They lost Gordon Hayward, but I don't think that's a big loss for them given the core that they have. And Tatum and Brown are both still developing. I think they were both very good last year. They're both going to be even better this year. And so I expect them to be a little bit better than that, but probably not much better.
Okay, so a slight over on the Celtics possibly. The Brooklyn Nets, 45.5. I want to talk about this for a second before I get into you. I think that's going to be an under. I mean, Durant, that Achilles injury, you mentioned this last year with Gordon Hayward, how you said it takes them even a full healthy year, and then it's that second year that they really come back. I know Durant looked okay in this preseason game, but you were right on when you tried to watch Hayward. Yeah, he was good, but he wasn't himself. This year, hopefully Hayward will be himself again. But yeah, I mean, I think the same thing for Durant. I don't think he's going to be quite himself. And then Kyrie, I don't know. Kyrie's a basket case in the head. So I mean, it just doesn't feel like an organization that's going in the right direction, other than like talent wise. They're getting the right players, but like mentally and just as a whole organization, they've said stuff about Steve Nash, and I don't know. I'm going to say under 45.5 on the Nets.
I'm going to go with you on it's crazy to do it because I feel like from a talent perspective, I mean, this should be in an 82 win season, I'd say, they look like a 60 win team on paper,
Yeah.
But I am going to go under with you for a lot of the same reasons you mentioned. I suspect that Durant is going to miss some time. He's not going to be quite the player that we are used to just because those injuries take so long to heal. But in addition to that, look, Kyrie Irving is one of the best one-on-one players that we've seen, and he is an unbelievable finisher. But he's a basket case. He does weird stuff. He eliminates people. I could just see it going really bad there, but even really bad, might not be too far off 45. And I also, one of the other reasons is I could see them with all the talent they have feeling like they can coast into the playoffs and then prove it in the playoffs. And so I could see them having a little bit less of a sense of urgency and not having a really tremendous record because they're a little bit less worried about it. I feel like their players are those types of players.
Yeah. Yeah, you might be right. And like you say, I mean, talent-wise, they're definitely good enough to hit that over. I would probably just stay away from it, at least until I watch, like, at least until I watch 3-4 weeks of the season. And then if you think you have a feel on them, but otherwise, I'd probably just stay away from the Nets. You just don't know what's going to come out of there.
Let me say this. I did not see Durant in the preseason game, so I don't know what he looks like physically. If Durant is like legit 100% good to go and is like way ahead of schedule in a way that Paul George was not and Hayward was not. And let's be clear, I mean, in both of those cases, they had complete fractures with multiple tears all across. This is just an Achilles, which usually does take more than a year to heal. But if Durant is really like ahead of schedule and he looks really good physically, I haven't seen that because I haven't watched, but if that's what it's looking like, I would tend to go over just because I feel like he could carry a team to that himself. He's that good. I mean, he's as close to LeBron dominance as there is. He's just an amazing player. So, but I would still lean under at this point because I haven't seen that. But I haven't been paying attention maybe as much as I could have.
Yeah, I actually didn't watch it either, but from what I heard, he looked good. I didn't hear anyone say he looked phenomenal or like 100%, but, I heard that they said he looked good, and he only played a few minutes from what I heard, so. Charlotte Hornets, over under 25.5, so they got to get 26 wins. What do you know about the Charlotte Hornets? I don't know if I know anything about the Charlotte Hornets. I'm just kidding.
I'm taking over. For sure on them. And the reason why is Gordon Hayward just went there. He just signed a huge contract as he shafted the Celtics just like he did the Jazz and like he probably will to the Hornets in a couple of years. But he's good. He's a good player. And I mean, I think he's a better player than Kimball Walker was. And I feel like he's the kind of player that will help your team stack up wins when you have an offense that is focused around him. Plus, he's no slouch on defense. I do pick the over on them. I think that they are a legit playoff contender. It would not shock me to see them outperform the Hawks, for example.
Interesting. That would be fun to see. Chicago Bulls 30.5, 31 games to go over. What do you think?
30 is so few, but I'm thinking of this season, kind of how that comes down from 72. I would on the Bulls.
It's about 6 games under 50%.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under. I don't think they're good. I don't think they're going to do well. I think I'm definitely gonna go under on the Chicago Bulls. I think that they got worse this year. And their young players are not at this point winners at all. And I don't see any reason to think they're going to take the leap. There are some guys that are going to put up some stats. I don't really see a lot of people producing a lot of wins.
The one thing I wonder about these unders, because I know guys like LeBron James and some of these superstar teams aren't going to play a lot early in the season. They're going to be on minute restriction. They're just not going to come out. Some of them will probably take games off. And I wonder if that's going to push the over on some of these smaller teams, but I guess we'll find out. Cavaliers over under 22.5.
I mean, it's hard to imagine them being much worse, right? 22 is not a lot of wins.
Yeah, it's 22 and 50.
I'm going to go under.
Yeah.
I'm going to go under. They're bad.
Yeah. Dallas and Sexton hasn't been as good as we thought he was going to be.
No, he's not. I mean, in one of the preseason games, I caught a few minutes of it, and Exum looked like the best player, and when that's the case,
Right. Mavericks 42.5. All these have hooks. It's funny.
I'm going to go under. That's a lot of wins. Wouldn't shock me to see him go over. I mean, I think Doncic is one of the. I mean, Luka. He's a great player. Your Suns made one of the colossal mistakes that we have seen in a draft when they decided not to draft him. And anyway, we talked about that then. Luka's amazing, but and they have a great coach. I don't buy Porzingis. I don't really buy much of the other pieces on the team. I don't know. It's a pretty close one, though. I think they're going to finish right around there.
Okay. I might lean to the over just because Luka's such a monster. Denver Nuggets 44.5.
Over.
Okay.
The Denver Nuggets have shown themselves to be a team over the last few years with Jamal Murray and the big man that they can just win a ton of games in the regular season. And so they've finished number 3 in the West, I think, the last couple of years. Or anyway, they really know how to win games in the regular season. I'm going to go over. Their team, I think, is worse right now than it was last year. I think they have lost more than they gained, but there is some additional development that I think is occurring. I think in the playoffs, they're going to have a bigger problem than ever with an inability to stop anybody. They lost probably their 2 most athletic pieces in free agency. So they weren't necessarily the most important pieces, but they were 2 of their best defenders. And so but I think that they're going to pay for that in the playoffs more than in the regular season. I think they're going to be over that.
Yeah, I like the way Jokic can close out games. Pistons 23.5. Over under.
I'm going to go over.
Over, okay.
For fun.
For fun? Over for fun. I'm going to go under for fun.
There you go. Yeah, I don't have a tremendous amount of analysis on why. There are a couple of things I like about their team. I feel like they got rid of a couple of empty statters on the team, and I think that they do have a little bit of talent there. I could see them coming together and winning a few more games than people think.
Yeah, one thing they do. One thing I do like about the Pistons though is they have a lot of fight. Like they don't give in for nothing. The Golden State Warriors 36.5. I'm just gonna say over on that. I'm gonna say easy over on that.
I'm gonna go.
You're gonna go under?
I am. Yeah. I see. I mean, they have Curry, right?
Yeah, he'll be back.
Unbelievable. And they have a couple of other decent players, but they are extraordinarily thin. And Clay is gone for the whole season. And Draymond is not Draymond. He is not he's a shell of the player that he used to be. And teams have kind of figured them out. Their name is still larger than life. Steph Curry is still larger than life. People are going to be prepared to play them. They're playing in the tough West. I do not think they win half their games, and I do not think they make the playoffs or even come close to making the playoffs.
Yeah, that's one though that I would say you've got a good organization, and so like I feel more comfortable, taking that as an over than I would necessarily taking the Hawks. I mean, I just feel like organizationally wise and what they do, and Steph Curry's the leader, and the way he gets the guys to play, and the way he can hit a 3 to win a game at any moment, or like go down and hit 3 threes in a row or whatever. I mean, they'll win some games, and it's tough. Well, there might not be any fans, so the crowd might not matter too much, but it won't matter at all. Rockets 34.5.
They started doing immunization just yesterday here in Las Vegas, and the expectation is that the entire country will be immunized by March, perhaps. And so at least going in, there will be fans again in the playoffs, right? So if you're most, you're totally right. In the playoffs, though, anyway, it'll be interesting. It's going to be back to a lot of the normal in the playoffs.
Well, we'll see. Rockets 34.5.
Over. James Harden. Now this is contingent on James Harden staying, right? I know that he's been asking for a trade for the West. James Harden is a host unto himself, right? I mean, the guy is a one-man offense that no one has been able to stop, and is potent enough, pushing his game style to win a ton of games. And so
Well, they just got John Wall too, so.
Yeah, I mean, they traded one overrated point guard for another. Both point guards with an enormous amount of talent who have never really produced wins, who put up a lot of stats but never really contribute to significant winning. So I don't think much of the John Wall trade, frankly. Do I like him better than Russell Westbrook in terms of producing wins? Maybe just slightly. It's very, very close. They're both pretty. Really, at the end of the day, neither one of them shoots great, and all you really need around Harden is someone that can knock down that three. And so I don't really care about that trade. Really, this team is all about Harden, and as long as they can put up enough defense, and I think they probably can. I think they'll win. I think they'll win more games than that, and I think they likely will make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of curious that they're 34.5 is their over-under when you have like the Warriors at 36.5. That's kind of curious to me. It's kind of a weird line there.
Yeah, I mean, it all hinges on Harden, right? And so if Harden doesn't play, or he takes a bunch of games off, then obviously they're going to tank, right? That team cannot play. The entire team is Harden centric. Very little play there, and so that's what it is. So if they trade him, all of a sudden I think they're going to win like 12 games, or realistically a very small number of games. But if he's playing and he actually plays the season, then I would take the over for sure.
Right. Pacers 39.5. I like the Pacers. What do you think?
I think over. I like them as well. I think they're better than that. I think they're a very good team. Now, understanding that that's the equivalent of maybe, 46, 47 wins. So it's not, it sounds low, but it's actually, not too bad. But I would take the over slightly.
Right. Right. Remember, guys, this is a 72-game season, so that's why these are so low. The Los Angeles Clippers at 45.5.
That one's tough. I'm going to take the under based on a lot of resting.
Okay. Who's going to rest?
Everybody.
Kawhi?
Yeah, Kawhi already has a long history. I mean, he's the guy that really started the I take 20 games off every season, no matter what, right? He's the guy that really started doing that. He's not stopping now in a condensed, he's going to do the same thing. So I expect them to have a lot of games off, and they're going to just try to stay healthy going into the playoffs by resting people a lot. So I'm going to go with the under on this.
All right. Lakers 46.5.
I'm going over. I think the Lakers, first of all, the Lakers last year, it became apparent as you went through the playoffs that they were by far the best team in the NBA, as painful as that is to say. They have gotten better this offseason. They are a good team, very, very deep. They probably have 8 or 9 rotational players that are easily capable and used to playing 25 minutes a night. They have depth all over the place. That is a good team. They're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah. Do you think they win it all?
I do. I mean, they have to be the favorite to win it all. I mean, and frankly, I don't think it's that close. I think that, you have Anthony Davis and LeBron James. They're two of the 5 best players in the NBA. And then they have perhaps the strongest supporting cast in the NBA. I mean, they have a very, very strong team right now.
The Memphis Grizzlies 30.5.
I'm going to go over. I really like what they're doing in Memphis. I mean, I'll tell you, Ja is goodness. He's something. I really like that team, and I like where they're going. I like a number of their pieces. It's interesting. I see them a lot like the Hawks because of the really explosive, fun point guard play, right? That you get both teams, and they feel similar. But Jaw is better. I think he's just the better player. He is a little, not much more, a little bit more of a two-way player. But the other pieces they have around are not so offensive centric. They play both sides of the floor. They fight. They're scrappy. Anyway, I do like Memphis, and I think Memphis is on its way to being better.
Yeah. And I said John Morant was on the Hawks earlier. I meant I can't think of that guy's name, but I meant the other point guard. They're like the same though, kind of. I can't think of his name, but anyways, Milwaukee Bucks 49.5. And in fact, that's the highest over under of anyone. So that's the highest one that I see here.
I'm going under. On that one. They are very good. They are very good. It wouldn't shock me to see them go over, but you have to, recognize that if you're taking that, then you're predicting them to be the equivalent of about a 58-win team, 59-win team. That's really good. Most 60-win teams win the championship. It's, when you start getting into those numbers, it's so I don't think they'll probably win that many, but they'll probably be very close to it.
Yeah, 47 or something maybe. Timberwolves 28.5 over under.
I'm going to go on. I'm going to go on. They're in the tough West, and I don't see the winning dynamic there quite yet.
Yeah, I think I actually really like the under on that one. Pelicans 36.5.
I'm going to go over. I think the Pelicans are going to be better than people realize. They have some nice pieces. I think Eric Bledsoe is a very good guard through the regular season. He's a tremendous regular season guard. All the problems seem to always pop up when they're in the playoffs, but he is a significant component to wins during the regular season. And then you go through that roster. They have a deep, good roster. So I'm not sure that I love all of the pieces, but Steven Adams is a durable, big, good center that's going to produce some over coverage for Zion. Anyway, I like that team. I'm going to go the over.
Yeah, and Zion Williamson, he looked amazing in preseason too. So I think if they limit his minutes, it's only going to be the very beginning of the season, I think. And then we're going to see him play whole games, which I don't think we've been able to see him play a full game, really. And that's going to be good. That might be my favorite pick of all of them, over 36.5 for the Pelicans. I think that could be a very, very good team.
That's one of my favorite picks too. I really do like that pick. I really think that that's going to be a good team. They changed coaches, and I wasn't a big fan of their prior coach. I'm not necessarily sold on their new coach, but I can't imagine it will be worse. The dynamic that they had going before. Yeah, I really do like that team. I see that team on paper and I think, wow. And I'll tell you, it goes beyond Zion for me. So he, one thought on Zion is a lot of people in sports medicine talked about how Zion's physical dynamics were likely to cause him to have a short career with lots of injuries because he is so big, so powerful, weighing so much weight that's going up and down so high, with such force. And anyway, we'll wait and see. So far, that has mostly been proven to be true. And so it will be interesting to see if Zion even has the capacity to stay healthy over the course of a season.
Yeah, let's hope he does, man, because we all want to see what he can really do.
There's very few people I'd rather watch. He is just incredible.
Yeah. And tied for the lowest is the Knicks at 22.5.
They're bad, aren't they? Good. I'm going to go under. I can't get behind anything that I've seen the Knicks do in years.
So the other teams they were tied with were the Cavs that we went over, and then this next team, the Oklahoma City Thunder, over under 22.5. Those are the three lowest over unders.
OKC, I'm going over.
Okay.
I like Shai Gilchrist-Alexander. I like a couple of their other pieces. I know they're just putting together something right now, but they're going to win a few games. I think they're going to be better than people expect.
Yeah, they you know what? The Thunder is one of those teams that usually is better than what people expect. The Magic, 31.5.
I'm going to go over on the Magic. I actually think the Magic are going to make the playoffs in the East this year. There are some things that I really do like about them. They actually have some good young players who have never shown anything, but I think there's a decent chance that they will show something this year. Here's kind of a prediction. I think Fultz is actually going to have not a star year by any stretch, but he is going to have a very respectable starter point guard season for the first time in his career. And I also think Aaron Gordon is going to move back to more average numbers on his shooting and is going to be a better player this year than we've seen from him in the last couple of years. Anyway, I think there will be progression from those two guys, and I think that they will make it into the playoffs in the bottom part of the East, but I think they'll make it and will have a better record than that.
Yeah, I mean, the Magic have done some good things, so I mean, I'm for that. The Philadelphia 76ers, 45.5. Oh, man. I got to go way under on that. What do you think?
Oh, it's a tough one. I'm going under on it. I just don't think they're going to win that many games. I love their talent. I mean, it's Ben Simmons. The man won't shoot, won't take a 3-pointer, but he shot a few of them. I mean, I'm so torn on that guy, right? I feel like he's never going to be he's never going to be a legitimate starter, even if he doesn't start stretching the floor with some 3-point shooting. But my gosh, every other part of that guy's game is awesome. And so anyway, they have a ton of talent. I'm going the under on that, though. I think they have a lot of problems too.
Okay. A team that's near and dear to our hearts going up in Arizona, Phoenix Suns, 38.5.
I'm going the under on that. I actually like the Suns, and I really like the Chris Paul trade. I like them having Chris Paul. I like the Chris Paul, Devin Booker combination. But I will tell you, I think the catalyst to the Suns doing great is DeAndre Ayton. They need to have an interior presence that creates some defensive problems with people going to the rim. And I just don't think he's very good, particularly on the defensive end. I happen to have watched 2 of his games in the preseason and just watching his positioning. I mean, Rudy Gobert got 20 rebounds with DeAndre Ayton there. And just it was so clear that Rudy Gobert was so much better in the games, in both of the games that they just played against each other in the preseason. And you could tell that like DeAndre Ayton was kind of taking it personally, really trying, and he just wasn't that good. Now, I think they'll be better than some people think. I think they're going to be a fringe, probably just didn't quite make it to the playoffs. They'll probably fall right behind either Memphis or the Pelicans for the last spot. But I think they're going to disappoint, and I'm going the under on this one.
Yeah, well, they did get CP3 as well. I think you mentioned that, but
And he will get them wins, right? He will be worth a few wins, but I just feel like they need some development besides their 2 guards to get that many wins.
I think the Suns need. I think the Suns need like just a steady hand, like a LeBron or something. I'm not saying LeBron, but just somebody that can come in there, take control of the team, and just steady the team the way it needs to be going. I feel like it's just too many of the wrong personalities kind of going back and forth. The one if they can just get a steady hand, I think they could really go somewhere.
The one bright, I mean, the CP3 thing really is a big deal, and who knows? I could turn out to be wrong, of course. There were times during the these preseason games they really played them with their starters. Both teams did almost the whole game. It was interesting. They got their reserves in there, But for the bulk of the game, their starters were playing some decent minutes. But CP3, I will say this. There were a couple of stretches where he looked like the best single player on the floor for both teams. He still has a tremendous amount of ability. Still a great player. So anyway, he's don't underestimate that guy. He will contribute to a few wins for the Sun.
Yeah. Portland Trailblazers, I did watch some of their preseason game. 41 and a half. What's his name has finally taken a role. He's okay coming off the bench, and he seems like he fits in really well. The guy that you hate, just kidding, no, but
you're Anthony?
Carmelo Anthony. And he looked good in that preseason game. I mean, he seems to fit in really well with that team, and he seems to be okay coming off the bench. And he seems to be doing better at his shot selection. So I think he's actually he might be sixth man of the year or something. 41 and a half. What do you think about that team?
I'm going to go under. I think they're going to be a little bit less good than people expect. Here's the thing. Last year, Dame, I think, hit for 30 points a game. He shot career highs in off-the-bounce threes. If he hits those numbers again, they're probably going to hit about that number that is listed there. If he can duplicate his shooting percentages off the bounce from last season, and if CJ can be great as well. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I'd go under on this one. And I think Melo, I don't think it's possible for Melo to have any extended minutes that are positive on the floor at all. Anybody. I just don't think it's in him. I don't hate Melo. I mean, that's a little rough. I just think he's a very, very bad player that contributes to team losses. So, no, I don't think Melo has a chance at sixth man of the year. I think that this will be probably the last year in the league when he gets cast off midway through the season, probably by Portland, when they realize that his liability for every minute he's on defense just is too much to stomach.
I guess we'll find out. San Antonio Spurs over under 41 and a half.
Under.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. 29 and a half.
That sounds more like it. So 29 and a half, I'm going to go over. I think they'll compete maybe just a touch more than that, but not much over. This is not a very good team. And people felt like they got some they have a couple of stars in DeMar DeRozan and in LaMarcus Aldridge. And I will tell you that those guys, both of them throughout their career, have done very little to contribute to winning basketball. They have been stat stuffers who have not contributed to winning basketball very much. They take the wrong kinds of shots. And their defense by both of them is just not very good. So they're largely one-way players who are pretty inefficient the one way they go. Not nearly as bad as Carmelo Anthony, but in a similar mold, frankly. Both better than Melo, right, to be clear. But they're not going to win a ton of games for anybody. And they never have, by the way, even though they have been recognized as stars in the league.
And we skipped this one, or I did, the Sacramento Kings, 27 and a half.
Over. Now, it's a close call, but I think probably over. I love a few of their pieces. I mean, they have a few pieces there that I really, really do like. I really doubt Luke Walton has the capability to run a good team, but I'm not sure, right? We haven't seen it quite long enough to know for sure, but I'll take the over.
And then the Raptors, 41 and a half. I think that's going to be an under.
I'm going to go over on the Raptors.
Yeah.
I am. I like them. I think that they are a scrappy, talented team. Siakam is just phenomenal. He's a great player, and they have a lot of great players around him. This is a scrappy team. Now, they will be playing in Tampa this year. Toronto will, because apparently they're not allowed to play or something up in Canada given the restrictions. So the team will be playing in Tampa, but it's, I don't think that should make a big difference. I'll take the over on that one.
No, I'm going to stick to the under on that one. I'm sorry. I've switched out of this. I know you guys don't have anything to say about this team, but the Utah Jazz 42.5.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over, man. I'm going to take the over.
Okay.
That puts them probably close to a 50-win team is what I'm looking at, and I think that's right. I think if you look at the Jazz, they are. Last year, they did an experiment where they got rid of Derek Favors, which they knew would decrease their defense. They also got rid of Ricky Rubio, which they knew would decrease their defense, and instead they brought in Mike Conley and Bogdanovich. Both would increase their offense, and so they did a trade-off there. But the big problem with it, one of the reasons it didn't work out, and their team finished largely about the same, maybe slightly worse. They looked a little bit worse. Was there were a ton of injuries, right? Bogdanovich missed the entire playoffs and the bubble, and Conley looked bad at first, and then he got injured. But as you watched Conley go through the bubble in the playoffs, he played very, very well. Well, those guys have now been in the system for a year. They look very, very good. They've looked good in the preseason games, which mean little to me. But they both look very healthy, which is the more important thing. But in addition, they brought back Favors, who really, the way that the Jazz got killed last year when they got killed was primarily in the 12 minutes every game that Rudy Gobert would be on the bench. They didn't have anyone else, and people would just attack the rim, and the Jazz couldn't do anything about it for 12 minutes a night, and that just became a theme. Well, they have Rudy Gobert back, or they have Derek Favors back, and he's going to be taking all of those minutes. And Derek Favors is really he really is an elite defender in the post, and so they don't have that same vulnerability. I do not place the Jazz there with the Lakers. I certainly don't, but I do put the Jazz in the top 4 in the West, and I think they'll be better than that.
Yeah. By the way, I've always been a huge Conley fan. Just a fan of his game. I mean, just a fan of him. But yeah. So I'll go with you. I mean, I'll go with you on the over 42.5 for the Jazz. Washington Wizards 32.5. They just got on the trade for who do they just Westbrook. Yeah, they just got Westbrook, who goes 100% all the time, but.
Yep, that's right. And by the way, like as a person, I really like Westbrook. Me too. But when he does, he tends to have a reason for it, and people get very political about his stuff. I'll tell you, I as you look through his issues, right, his incidents, I feel like there's been a lot more justification than what some people give him credit for. That said, my goodness, he does not contribute to wins. He goes full speed faster than anyone else in the league can, except for possibly John Wall, who just got traded for him. But man, he's inefficient. He's inefficient on offense, and he just doesn't try hard enough on defense. And so, yeah, he's
too tired from the offense.
I know. I'm all day long, 20-yard dashes everywhere.
Oh man.
I don't think they're going to be very good.
No. Well, we'll see. I mean, that's just another organization that you just can't count on. It's like the Hawks. I mean, could they hit the over? Do they have the talent for it? Maybe, but I mean, you trust that organization and the coaches and the players and what they. I don't. It's just like why? Why are you betting on a bad organization? So the 2021 Southwest. Okay, so let's do some of the divisions. The Southwest, which is the Mavericks, Rockets, Pelicans, Grizzlies, and Spurs. Who do you like to win that division?
I'm gonna go. Oh, that's tough.
You want me to give you the odds? So the Mavericks are minus 200, Rockets are plus 500, Pelicans are plus 550, Grizzlies are plus 1200, and Spurs are plus 2500.
Look, I'm going to create a little tiny caveat here, Kay. If Harden stays with the Rockets, I'm going to pick the Rockets, and that's a pretty not a very popular one, but I'm going to pick the Rockets. Assuming Harden stays. If Harden goes, if they trade him, then I'm going to go with Dallas, right? And that's the favorite pick to begin with. But
right.
Yeah, so I mean that's my order. I think that three of those teams will probably go.
Right. Well, well, that's good. I mean, plus 500 is great investment on your money. I personally uh, think that there's no chance they trade him, and he's probably going to mope around for a few weeks, and then he'll go back into Harden mode. So, I mean, that's great value right there. Right there with the Rockets. The next one is the Pacific Division. We've got, I don't know if these are in the same conferences. It's just kind of back and forth. But the Lakers minus 125, Clippers plus 150, Warriors plus 1,000, Suns plus 1,800, and the Kings plus 10,000. $100 bet gets you 10,000 if the Kings win their division.
Not. They will not win the division.
So you'll throw away $100.
Right. No, the Lakers are going to win it. Clippers are going to be second.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The next one is the Nuggets minus 120, Jazz plus 225, the Trailblazers plus 350, the Wolves plus 4,000, and the Thunder plus 15,000. What do you think of that division?
I'm going Jazz, right? And that's probably a homer pick. It feels like the right pick in my mind and with my analysis, but I will admit that I have a tendency and a history of analyzing things in favor of the team that I like best. That's happened a couple of times. I really do think the Jazz are the best team, and I think they actually will win it. I mean, you have to think about it. The Jazz are clearly a better team now than they were last year. Last year, they were up 3-1 on the Nuggets, and in Game 7, Mike Conley shot a three-pointer, and the ball went into the hoop and came back out at the buzzer, right? Mm-hmm. Barely lose. So the Nuggets went on to the second and then the third round. I feel like the Nuggets got a little worse and the Jazz got better. I think the Jazz are going to take the division.
You know, I'm going to big controversy here. I'm going to take the Trailblazers plus 350. I love the enthusiasm of that team, man. They're like the Braves of baseball. I mean, they're just so enthusiastic and there for each other. And, I mean, they got ballers on that team, and they can win any night. And if the fans do end up coming back, the Jazz too, but that's a hard place to play. You know, I'm going to go with the Trailblazers on that one. Not saying you should bet a lot of money on it, but, you know, you want to throw something on the Trailblazers. I think it would be I think it's worth it.
Dame Dollar.
Yeah, yep. The next one is the Miami Heat minus 300, Hawks plus 700, Wizards plus 700, Magic plus 1,200, Charlotte Hornets plus 3,300. So the Vegas clearly likes the Miami Heat in that division.
Yeah, it's an easy pick. Miami Heat, easy pick. Look, they made the finals. They are a very good team. They're bringing that team back. I like a couple of things they've done. And I just like their team. I will tell you, all the stuff that Jimmy Butler has been criticized for, that dude is a winner. He is a winner. He leads teams to wins. Anyway, he's just a stud. So, I think they're an easy – he's probably one of the more underrated players in the NBA. And
Tyler Hero now, too. He's been balling.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Hero is not a very good defensive player. Really, he's a spot-up shooter. But he is a great spot-up shooter. He extends everything on offense for everybody else, makes it better for everybody else. Tyler Hero was a phenomenal pick. He probably, if they redrafted that draft, I don't know, he would have been like the second or third pick overall, probably. Really great player. Awesome find for them. So, yeah.
I know the people in Miami are just gaga eyes over him, man. They love him. The next one is the Central Division. It's Milwaukee Bucks minus 5,000. Indiana Pacers plus 1,100. Bulls plus 5,000. Pistons plus 8,000. Cavs plus 15,000. So there's no value in that one. But I guess the Pacers would be the value in that one. That's the only one. What do you think, Pacers or Bucks?
Bucks.
Yeah, okay.
It's the Bucks. It's the Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, Vegas, of all of them, the Vegas is, clearly says the Bucks in that division.
Yeah, the Pacers are a good team. They're going to make the playoffs, and they could have a crazy knockout round or something. They have some talent there, but the Bucks are going to win the division over the course of the season.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one is okay. This one I'm interested. This one's very interesting. The Brooklyn Nets plus 150, Celtics plus 250, 76ers plus 380, Toronto Raptors plus 380, and then the Knicks plus 15,000. They're all pluses, so it doesn't matter. You get plus money no matter who wins that division.
Yeah, I mean, there's at least 4 teams from that division that are going to the playoffs, right? That's a good division right now. Really, really good. I'm going Celtics. I think the Celtics are the best team there. I think they're going to win the most games in the regular season. And it wouldn't – here's the crazy thing. It wouldn't blow my mind to see even the Raptors win that one and take the lead. It wouldn't shock me at all. But I would go Celtics on this one. And frankly, I'd probably go Raptors number 2.
Yeah, I mean no, I'm with you. I think the Nets, who Vegas has favorited, would be my 4th pick. I like the Raptors and the Celtics and the 76ers better than the Nets, personally. But, yeah, I mean, I might go Raptors. I might go Raptors on that one. Plus 380, that's good money. So the next thing here is the Western Conference Championship. So this is who goes to the finals in the West. Well, who do you think goes to the finals in the West? I'm sure you know all the teams, but
The Lakers. I think the Lakers.
So the Lakers are plus 150. I mean, if you're gonna bet that, you should bet it right this second because that's only gonna go down that number. Plus 150, plus money right now on the Lakers. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, everybody's plus money, right?
What's that?
Everybody's plus money right now, right?
Currently, yeah, but that's not usually the case. I mean, I would think that they would be minus 300 right now or something. That's not usually the case. Especially since that's not even the winner of the championship. That's just to get to the championship. So, and then the next. So in the East, who do you like in the East to go?
I think Milwaukee is the probably the most likely choice, but I'm gonna go with the Celtics.
The Celtics? Okay.
Yep.
Well, Celtics are plus 550. Milwaukee is the favorite at plus 225. So, okay. Well, then if you want to take the Celtics, now would probably be the best time to take either of those if you guys really feel. So, who do you think wins it all this year? Obviously, the Lakers are favored. Plus 210 for the Lakers to win it all. That's never going to be a better number. $100 to win 210. So you get 310 back. That's never going to be a better number than what that is now. I might even put a little money on it myself. Might as well do it now before it changes.
So as you know, I'm not a bettor, but I certainly would never put money on the Lakers where I would be motivated to cheer for them. I couldn't.
Right.
Although I do think they've got to be the favorite to win. They feel like the smart play.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for coming on the show. What else anything else you want to talk about the NBA season?
I think it's going to be a fun season, right? This is a big thing that I think we're going to see this season that we are not seeing in other seasons. I think that depth is going to matter more this season than probably it has maybe ever. We're coming off a very shortened off season, and then we have all of these compact games, 72 games over a much shorter period of time. And so what you're going to be seeing is the teams that have depth are going to win more. You're going to see teams going 10, 11, 12 players deep in a way that they didn't do before in other regular seasons. And so in this season, when you're looking at teams, you really have to be counting down to who is their 9th player, who is their 10th, who is their 11th player. And you have to look at that because those players are going to be getting major minutes when in past seasons they almost never would. And so when that's one of the things that you look at when you're looking at these teams. I think that's another reason why, frankly, I favor a few of the teams that I do. The Lakers, the Clippers, those are obvious choices for the star power, but they also have depth on both of those teams. The Jazz have significant depth The New Orleans Pelicans have significant depth. And so when you're looking at those teams, they can actually go very, very deep into their roster, which everybody will be. People are going to be resting players every game.
Well, and plus people are going to get COVID, and then they'll be out for a few games.
Right, and that's going to botch things too. So, all of those factors combined, I think when you're looking at these teams, for the regular season purposes only, when you're talking about win totals, it's going to favor teams that have depth. That's in a way that it hasn't in the past.
Yeah. No, it's been an interesting year in sports because of that. Actually, I mean, all of these teams that have depth. I think, like in the NFL, for instance, when I capped the NFL, I mean, people say, well, why do you think this underdog can win or something? And I mean, the fact is, I think people disregard how much depth is needed in the NFL because you don't see it, you're not paying attention to it, but there's constantly guys like Khalil Mack going out to the sideline and somebody replacing him for a minute or two. I mean, there's constant guys going in and out, even in the NFL, especially in the NFL. But now that's going to be happening, like you say, in the NBA. You're going to have guys that are going to come in more often, take breathers. You're going to have guys take time off. If they get COVID, they're probably out for a week or two. That might be 4 or 5 games they're out for.
Right.
Because they have to usually get at least 2 consecutive tests or whatever. There's going to also, we've seen this in all sports. It just happened in the Ravens game where there's positive tests that were actually negative. They're false positives. And then they're out for, it only means that they'll probably only be out for 1 game. But still, I mean, there's just – the guy shouldn't even be out and he's out a game because of a false positive. I mean, we've had that all over in preseason. The NFL had 72 false positives. So, I mean, you're just going to have all kinds of things, which is why it's very important to, make sure that you know what's happening before the game, injuries. That's why I say people like myself are important to hire during these times because you need someone that's checking up on it all the time. This is what I do. I don't go anywhere else. I don't work. I don't do anything else but this. So, you're over there at work and you forgot to look something up and see that there was a COVID test or something and you just lost $200 on the game when you could have paid me $25 and you would have won 200 instead of losing 200. So, as you guys know, all of my specials and deals are on my website, danielsportsledger.store. Please, if you haven't been to this here before, please like, subscribe, and click the bell so you know when I go live. When I get 100 subscribers, I will be giving out 1 week of my top plays every day on social media. So, I know your friends sports bet too, so get them involved. Get me up to 100 subscribers, and I will give that out to the community. Also, next week, I'm going to have a guy, Clutch Sports Talk. I don't know if you know who this guy is. He's really fun and dynamic. He let me go on his little Instagram thing last week during the NFL games or right before him. And I'm going to get him to come on next week. As you guys know, I've had quite a few guests on here now. And so make sure you're on here, liking, subscribing. And as you know, I usually give out a free pick. I'm gonna give out my free NFL play on social media or on here. I have a lot of things to do this week, but check my social media, check my stories because I'm going to give out the free NFL play that way instead of on here today because I didn't have time to look at my computer today for the NFL, so I'll have to put that on there later. Kimball, again, thank you. We need to have you on more often, especially during the NBA. What's that?
No kidding, man. It's good to be on. Appreciate you having me, lad.
Yeah, and as always, guys, actually, first of all, Kimball's at Bighorn Law. It's .com, right? Bighornlaw.com?
Yeah, bighornlaw.com. We're primarily an injury firm. and of all different types, medical malpractice, injuries, class actions, things like that, cases that settle with insurance companies, sometimes go to trial. So yeah, that's what I do. So happy to help anybody out who needs to consult with an attorney, free of charge consultation, of course.
Awesome, guys. And as always, let's make some money. Let's have some fun doing it.